The night before her biggest dream came true, Nilo woke up to scissors against her scalp. Her sister-in-law Jaro stood over her, eyes cold, muttering, "You don't deserve this." By morning, her hair was gone, her spirit bruised. But hours later, at the airport, something happened that even Jaro couldn't stop. A screen lit up with Nilo's face, and the whole terminal froze. Nilo was a young girl from a small village, but her dreams were big, bigger than anyone around her could imagine. Since she was a child, she had a special gift with hair. She could braid, twist, and style like no one else in the village. People would often sit and watch her work, amazed at how her fingers moved so fast and smooth. Her braids weren't just beautiful, they told stories. Every twist had meaning. Every parting showed care. Her favorite style was one she designed herself. It had lines that curved like rivers and small knots that looked like stars. This braid became her signature. Whenever someone saw it, they knew it was Nilo's work. For years, she practiced on anyone who would let her. She watched videos on old phones, borrowed magazines, and dreamed of one day showing her skills to the world. And then, one day, it happened. She got a message that changed her life. She was chosen to attend a huge African beauty summit in Nairobi. Big names in fashion and hair from across the continent would be there. Nilo couldn't believe it. Out of so many people, they picked her, just a village girl with gifted hands and big dreams. To celebrate, she braided her own hair in her signature style. It took hours, but it was perfect. When she looked in the mirror, she didn't just see a girl from the village. She saw an artist, a star. Her heart was full of hope, and her bags were packed with dreams. Nairobi was calling, and Nilo was ready to shine. Nilo lived in the same house as her older brother and his wife Jaro. After their parents passed away, her brother took her in. At first, everything felt okay. Jaro would smile at her, call her sister, and act caring. But over time, Nilo started to feel something strange. Jaro's words were sweet, but her eyes were not. She would praise Nilo in front of others, but give her long, cold stares when no one was watching. Nilo didn't understand why. What Nilo didn't know was that Jaro used to be a local beautician in the village. She had a small shop and did people's hair, but her styles were plain, and her shop never grew. People stopped coming to her when they discovered how skilled Nilo was. They began to say things like, "Nilo's hands are magic, and this girl is going far." Those words burned Jaro's heart like fire. She felt like her own shine was fading while Nello's light was getting brighter. Every time Nello got a compliment or someone asked her to braid their hair, Jaro smiled on the outside but screamed on the inside. She couldn't believe a younger girl, who used to watch her work, was now the one everyone admired. It made her feel small, forgotten, and jealous. But instead of talking about her feelings or trying to support Nilo, she began to hide her jealousy behind fake kindness. She offered to help Nilo with chores, gave her gifts, and even praised her talent. But deep inside, she couldn't stand Nilo's success. She didn't like that doors were opening for Nilo, doors that never opened for her, no matter how hard she tried in the past. She began to think, why her? Why not me? And those thoughts grew darker each day. The night before Nilo's big trip to Nairobi, the house was filled with excitement. Nilo was packing her clothes, her hair products, and everything she needed for the summit. She kept smiling, thinking about how her life was finally changing. Her dreams were about to come true. Jaro, her sister-in-law, stood beside her, pretending to be happy too. She helped fold clothes and even gave Nello a small bottle of hair oil, saying, "This will keep your scalp fresh during the trip." Her smile looked real. Her voice was sweet, but deep in her heart, she was full of anger and jealousy. As the night got darker, Nilo finished packing and went to bed with a heart full of hope. She didn't know that Jaro had a wicked plan. While the house was silent and everyone was asleep, Jaro slowly opened Nello's door. She walked in quietly, careful not to wake her. In her hand, she held a pair of sharp scissors. Nello was fast asleep, her face calm, her beautiful braids resting neatly on her pillow. Jaro stared at them for a moment, her eyes full of hate. Without making a sound, she leaned close and began cutting. One braid after another, the scissors snapped through Nilo's hard work and dreams. Jaro's face twisted into a small, bitter smile as she cut off every single braid. She didn't rush. She enjoyed it. In that moment, she felt power. She thought, "Let's see how you'll shine without your hair." When she was done, she gathered the braids into a plastic bag, untied it tightly and tiptoed out of the room. Outside, behind the house, she lit a small fire. She threw the bag of braids into the flames and watched them burn. The smoke rose into the night sky, carrying Nilo's hard work and hope with it. Jaro stood there for a while, feeling proud of what she had done. She thought no one would ever know. She believed she had finally stopped Nilo from flying. But what she didn't know was that this cruel act was just the beginning of a story the whole world would soon see. As the first light of morning slipped through the window, Nilo slowly opened her eyes, feeling hopeful and excited. Today was the day she had been dreaming of for years, the day she would fly to Nairobi for the African Beauty Summit. She stretched, smiled to herself, and walked to the mirror to get ready. But what she saw made her freeze in shock. Her hands flew to her head, her beautiful braids. They were gone, all of them. Her hair was uneven, chopped badly, like someone had attacked her in her sleep. For a second, she thought maybe she was still dreaming. She touched her scalp again and again, trying to understand what had happened. Then it hit her. Someone had done this to her. Tears burst from her eyes as she let out a scream that shook the whole house. She couldn't believe it. Her heart was beating fast, her chest tight. This hair wasn't just for beauty. It was her design, her hard work, her pride, now all destroyed. Her flight was in 6 hours. But how could she go looking like this? She had planned everything so perfectly. Now it all felt ruined. Jaro rushed into the room, pretending to be shocked. She gasped and said, "What happened, Nilo? Who did this?" Nilo looked at her, confused and angry. You were the only one near me. You helped me pack. You were here last night," she cried. But Jaro laughed softly and shook her head. "Maybe you did it yourself in your sleep. Stress does strange things to people. You've been very nervous, haven't you?" Her words were calm, but her eyes were cold. Nello ran to her brother, hoping he would listen, hoping someone would believe her. She cried, "Please, you have to believe me. Jaro did this. She cut my hair while I was sleeping." But her brother didn't take her seriously. He sighed and said, "Nelo, not everything is about jealousy. Maybe you're just stressed. I think you should stay home and rest. This summit is too much pressure for you." His words cut deeper than the scissors. Her own brother didn't believe her. Her heart broke again. She stood there, hurt, shocked, and confused, feeling like the world had turned against her. No one believed her truth. No one saw her pain. And her dream, it was slipping away, minute by minute, like her chopped braids burning in the fire. Nello sat quietly on her bed, her eyes swollen from crying. Everyone had failed her. Her brother didn't believe her, and Jaro was pretending like nothing had happened. Her braids were gone, and so was her confidence. But deep in her heart, one small voice refused to give up. That voice reminded her of her dream, of the years she had worked hard and practiced her skills. She wiped her tears, took a deep breath, and wrapped her head in a bright scarf. It was time to go. Even if she didn't look perfect, she would not let anyone steal her chance. She picked up her small bag and left the house without saying a word. The sun was rising slowly, and the road was quiet. She stood by the roadside, hoping a taxi would pass. But minutes turned into longer minutes. No car came. Just when she was about to sit on a rock and cry again, an old blue car stopped in front of her. A kind-faced elderly woman rolled down the window and asked softly, "My daughter, are you okay?" Nello tried to smile but failed. Her eyes filled with tears again. The woman opened the door and said, "Come in. You look like someone who needs a ride and a listening ear." Nello hesitated for a moment, then got in. The woman didn't ask questions right away. She simply drove slowly, humming a soft tune. After a few minutes, Nello began to speak. Her words came out in pieces, between tears and deep breaths. She told her everything, about the summit, the braids, Jaro's betrayal, and how no one believed her. The woman listened quietly, nodding now and then. When Nilo finished, the car was almost at the airport. The woman parked by the entrance and turned to her with a gentle smile. "My dear," she said, holding Nilo's hand, "sometimes when something breaks, it's not the end. Sometimes broken things shine even brighter. Go and shine, scarf and all. Your spirit is bigger than your hair." Nilo's eyes filled again, but this time with gratitude. She hugged the woman tightly. "Thank you, Mama," she whispered. She got out of the car and stood in front of the airport, feeling nervous but brave. She didn't have her braids, but she had her dream, and now a stranger's words were giving her the strength to keep going. Nello walked into the airport with her heart beating fast. Her scarf was tightly wrapped around her head, hiding what was left of her hair. She kept her eyes low, feeling ashamed and unsure. She didn't know if she still belonged at the beauty summit. She didn't feel beautiful anymore. The scarf couldn't hide how broken she felt inside. Her hands, which once braided magic, were now shaking with fear. But still, she walked forward. She couldn't turn back now. She had come this far. As she reached the check-in area, something bright suddenly caught her eye. A large screen hanging above the counters lit up. People around her stopped and stared. Curious, Nilo looked up too, and what she saw made her gasp. It was her photo, her own face, smiling confidently, with her signature braids shining like gold in the sunlight. The photo was bold, powerful, and beautiful. Her eyes sparkled with hope in the picture, and her smile was full of dreams. Right below the photo, big, bold words appeared. "This is what African brilliance looks like. Meet Nilo." Nilo froze. Her mouth opened slightly in shock. For a moment, the world around her disappeared. Her doubts, her pain, her broken heart, all of it faded. People around her started clapping. Some pointed and smiled. A little girl tugged at her mother's dress and said, "Mummy, look! That's the hair girl." Tears filled Nilo's eyes, not the sad kind. This time they were tears of pride, of joy, of strength. In that moment she realized something powerful. Her worth was never just in her hair. It was in her spirit, her journey, her heart. The braids were part of her, yes, but her light came from within. She stood a little taller, held her head high, and smiled under the scarf. The screen didn't just show the world her face. It reminded her of who she truly was. And nothing, not even Jaro's jealousy or her brother's silence, could take that away. She stepped forward to check in, her fear gone. She wasn't just going to the summit. She was going to shine brighter than ever. Back at home, Jaro sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Suddenly, her hands stopped. Her eyes grew wide. On the screen was a video that was already going viral. It was from the airport. People had captured the big screen that showed Nilo's face, smiling with her glowing braids. The same braids that Jaro had cut off and burned. The caption read, "This is African brilliance. Meet Nilo." Jaro's mouth dropped open. She could barely breathe. The comments were pouring in. Thousands of people were sharing the video. Everyone was talking about Nilo, calling her an icon, a queen, a rising star. People were saying how powerful and beautiful her braids were. Some even wanted to know where they could learn to braid like her. Jaro's heart pounded. She dropped the phone and held her head. Her husband, Nilo's brother, came into the room and asked, "What's going on?" Jaro didn't answer. She just stared at the wall like she'd seen a ghost. He picked up the phone and saw the video for himself. At first, he smiled. Wow, she made it? But then, something clicked. His smile slowly faded. He remembered how Nilo had cried that morning. He remembered how Jaro had acted shocked and blamed Nilo for cutting her own hair in her sleep. His eyes narrowed. "Wait, didn't you say she did it to herself?" he asked slowly. Jaro stood up quickly, trying to cover up. Yes, that's what I thought. Maybe she fixed it at the airport or wore fake braids." But her voice was shaking. Her hands were sweating. She looked like someone who had just been caught. Her husband kept watching her. "Why would she leave if she was so broken?" he asked. "And why are those the same braids you said were gone?" Jaro couldn't take it. She started pacing the room, talking to herself, denying everything. "I didn't do anything. I was trying to help. I even helped her pack." But her voice cracked. Her lies were falling apart. Her husband was no longer fooled. As the truth slowly started sinking in, Jaro felt like her whole world was crashing. The very thing she tried to destroy was now making Nilo famous, and everyone was watching. At the beauty summit in Nairobi, Nilo stood in front of a crowd filled with powerful people, designers, stylists, artists, and media from all over Africa. She wore a bright, colourful head wrap that caught everyone's attention. It was not just cloth, it was a bold message. Underneath, her hair was still growing back from the cruel cut, but Nilo held her head high. She was not hiding. She was owning it. When she walked onto the stage to speak, the room fell silent. Then, in the softest yet strongest voice, she began. "I came here with dreams," she said. "But before I could fly, someone tried to clip my wings. I lost my braids, the very ones that told my story. But I realized my power isn't just in my hair. It's in my heart. It's in my hands. It's in the way I rise after being broken. The audience was speechless at first. Then they clapped. Then they stood. Cameras flashed. People wiped tears. Her words, her courage, her presence. It touched everyone deeply. That night, her speech went viral. Clips of her head wrap and message about embracing scars were all over social media. Famous people started sharing her story. News outlets called her the girl who turned pain into power. Then came the emails, the calls, the offers. Top fashion brands wanted to work with her. Beauty companies asked her to model. But Nello had something bigger in mind. She said no to the shiny distractions. Instead, she started creating her own line of head wraps. Each one had a name, a story, a message. For women who had lost their hair from sickness, from accidents, from heartbreak. Her wraps weren't just stylish. They were hope you could wear. People from all over Africa and even beyond started buying them. Some wore them proudly. Others sent her thank you letters. Nilo had not just become a stylist. She had become a movement, all from something that was meant to break her. Now the world couldn't stop talking about her. Her journey became a reminder that sometimes the cut isn't the end. It's the beginning of something even more powerful. And Nilo, the girl with the braided hope, was now the queen with the crown of strength. Months had passed since Nilo's life changed. She had become a powerful name in the beauty world. Her head wraps were everywhere. Her speeches were shared by thousands. She traveled across Africa, inspiring young girls to believe in themselves, no matter what they had lost. One day, she was hosting a big event in her village, a homecoming celebration. The hall was decorated with lights, music played softly, and many important guests had come to hear her speak and celebrate her success. Yaro heard about the event. She'd been watching Nilo's rise from a distance, hiding behind silence and regret. But today, she put on her best clothes, painted her face with makeup, and wore a fake smile. She told her husband she was going to support her dear sister-in-law, but deep inside, she was hoping for attention, to be seen, to be part of the story she once tried to ruin. At the entrance of the event, she walked with confidence. She waved at people like she was a proud relative. But when she reached the check-in desk, Nilo's team looked at the list. Her name wasn't there. One of them politely but firmly stopped her. "Sorry, you can't go in," they said. Jaro tried to laugh. "Oh no, there must be a mistake. I'm Nilo's sister-in-law." The team member didn't smile. "We know who you are," they said. "But there's no seat here for people who cut others down." Jaro's face dropped. Her voice shook. "I just want to celebrate her." But it was too late. She had burned that bridge the night she cut those braids. Now, the doors she tried to close for Nilo had opened wider than ever, but not for her. As the team turned away, Jaro stood outside, watching the crowd cheer for the girl she once tried to break. And that day, she finally understood. Envy may win a moment, but it never wins the future. After months of hard work and traveling to many places, Nilo finally came back to her village. But this time, she didn't come back feeling sad or angry about what happened before. She came back full of strength and pride. Everyone in the village had heard about her success, and the news had spread far and wide. When Nilo arrived, her eyes immediately caught something big and bright near the village gate. There it was, a huge billboard with her beautiful face shining in the sunlight. On the billboard, her smiling face was shown wearing a colourful head wrap, her eyes full of hope and courage. Below her picture, in big letters, were the words, "She didn't just grow back her hair, she grew wings." The whole village stopped to look at it. People whispered and smiled. They felt proud of Nilo and inspired by her story. Nilo stood tall, knowing this billboard was more than just a picture. It was a symbol of everything she had been through, the pain, the betrayal, the loss, and the amazing way she had turned it all into power. Her wings were not just on the billboard, they were inside her heart, and this time, no one in the village or beyond would dare to hurt her again. Children looked up to her as a hero. Young girls saw in Nilo a woman who fought back with kindness and courage. Even those who had once doubted her could not help but respect the woman she had become. Nilo smiled quietly. She was free now, free from fear, free from hate, and free to fly higher than ever before. This was her home, her story, and her victory. And as the sun set behind the hills, Nilo knew this was only the beginning of her true journey. If you believe in rising above betrayal and turning pain into power, share Nilo's story with someone who needs hope today. Don't forget to like, Comment your own story of strength.